Good morning and welcome to the Crafty Canary. Today I'm going to share a tip with you on how to hem a pair of dress pants by hand. Now there are a couple of ways you can hem pants, and today we're going to do it by hand, and it will kind of mimic a little bit of what it looks like coming from the factory. Now I have a pair of dress pants here. These are some black pants that I have that the hem has come out. So we're not going to go from scratch where you might be making a pair of pants and hemming them or shortening a pair of pants. But what we're doing today is just when the hem comes out, how to repair that by hand. And what happens when they do it at the factory, I'll have to put my glasses on here to see it. It's this black against black. When they do the stitch at the factory, they have a hemming machine that hems it all in one stitch. It doesn't have a bobbin thread. It just has one thread and a curved needle, and it goes in and it picks up both layers of fabric and does a kind of a chain stitch. So it's very easy that it can accidentally come out, and when it gets to the point where it's gotten loose, you could just pull the whole thing out. That's because of that chain stitch, that one thread going all the way through. So they very easily come out. But when we do it by hand, it's not going to be that way. It's going to stay a lot more securely. Okay, so what we're going to do, instead of doing it on these black pants with black thread, if I wasn't actually going to wear these pants, I would do it maybe with red thread so you could see it. But what I've done is I've kind of made up a mock leg of a pant. Of course, I would never wear pants out of this fabric, and I had this fabric and I thought, I'm never going to use this, so I'll just make a little fake pair of pants. And what I've done is I have turned up the hem the same amount that's on those pants, and I'm going to turn it wrong side out, and I'm actually going to hem it with black thread so that when I hem it, you'll be able to see what I'm doing. And then I'll go back and actually do it on the black pants so you can see it for real and what it looks like when it's finished. But just so that you can really see what I'm doing while I do it, I'm going to do black thread on this light blue. So let me get the camera situated where you can see what I'm doing, and I'll be right back. So to hem a pair of pants, you are going to use, or hem anything really, if you were hemming a skirt or a dress, you're going to use one strand of thread. You're not going to double your thread on the needle. So I've threaded my needle with black thread. Now I'm going to tie a knot here at the end of my thread, of my one strand of thread. Sometimes I have to try that a couple times. There we go. Just slide that knot to the end. I'm having my issues today. And then I'm going to start at one of the side seams, and really the best one is to start at the inner leg seam. It really doesn't matter, but what I do is I go up under that side seam. This one has just, it's not pressed open, it's pressed to one side, so it just has a surged edge and one side. So I'm going to go up under that surged edge, and I'm only going to catch the seam, the inside of the seam. I'm not going to go all the way to the outside of the pants yet. That's just to hide my knot. So I'm going up under that seam, but coming up through the hem that's turned over. So hopefully you can see that. So my knot is going to be hidden underneath that side seam. Then I'm going to come and I'm going to pick up just a tiny bit of the pants, pick it up, and then come through the hem. So now on this blue fabric, you're going to see my black thread, but if I had black fabric, you wouldn't see that black thread. And then here on the other side, you can barely see it, but I've got a teeny tiny little black thread there showing through. Now, if that were black fabric, it wouldn't really show, and that's what we want. We want a teeny tiny little stitch, and we want to get them as evenly, sorry about that, as we can. So I'm going to go about as much as I can, the same distance. I'm not going to take a measure and measure it to make sure I'm exact, but I'm going to go as much as I can, about the same distance, pick up just a tiny, teeny little bit, and come all the way through the hem. Same thing, and I'm going to do that all the way around. So go about the same distance, pick up a teeny bit, and the way I know I'm doing it is I've got my fingers underneath there, And so when I go through, I'm kind of gently jabbing my finger with the needle. I'm not jabbing it. I don't want to make myself bleed, of course, on the fabric. But I'm just barely touching it so that I can tell it's in there, and then coming back up through the hem. So I'll do that a couple more times. That one I kind of caught some skin. So do be careful. You don't want to poke your finger. You certainly don't want to see any blood. That would not be pleasant on your pants that you're trying to hem. Okay, so I'll do that all the way around, and then I'll come back and show you how I end it. Okay, so I'm almost back to my original seam where I started. So I've got one more little stitch I'll do here, and then I'll go pretty much right before the seam, and this time I will pick up the pants fabric, go through the hem, and now I'm going to take out this pin. Now I'm going to secure my stitch. So I'm just going to go through the hem a couple of times, and if you've seen my video on how I secure my knots, you can see this. This is how I do it. So I'm going to make a loop. Oops, that loop kind of went through a little too fast. Make a loop, and then I'm going to take my needle through the loop and kind of tighten it a little bit. And again, I'm only going through the hem now when I'm making my knot. I've already gone through the pants, and I don't want to make that stitch too thick or visible. You could also catch that seam, that side seam, to make the knot a little more secure. My fingers are so dry they're sticking to the thread. So we're going to make that loop again. I'm going to make sure I've got the tail out. Make that loop again. Can you see that loop? I know it's a little difficult to see my shot. Go through the loop and tie it. And then to make it doubly secure, I'm going to do again one more, go through, then come grab this thread. Sorry, I'm having my troubles today. Grab this thread, and I'm going to wrap around the needle 3 times and then pull that through. And again, I've got to pull my tail out. I have so much thread on this needle that I had a really long tail. So it's okay if the end of it gets caught in it like that. And then we'll snip that off, and I'll show you the other side. You're going to see that it's not exactly perfect because we're doing black thread on this light colored fabric. So you see the stitches are not exactly even. They're pretty close. I've been doing this long enough that they're pretty close. They're pretty evenly spaced apart. Again, not perfect because I'm not a machine and I'm not perfect. I am a human. But when you've got that black thread on black fabric, it's going to look a whole lot more even than it even does on the blue fabric. So let me show you now what it will look like doing it on black fabric, black thread on black fabric. So here are my real pants, and I have it pinned where the hem has come out. Now, the whole hem on this one leg didn't come out. It's only about half, but it didn't do it exactly on the seam. So I won't be able to use my little go under the seam trick since I'm starting kind of here in the middle. But what I will do is I'll go up under the hem, not catching the real pants in there, just the hem, so that that knot is hidden under there. And then I'll go in and catch that and go up. And this way, this is even a little bit different. Now I'm going underneath the hem. So I'm picking up underneath and coming under the hem. Take my pin out there. Again, I know it's a little bit difficult to see because it's the black on black. So going now that I'm on a seam allowance, I don't know if you can tell, but there's the seam allowance. I'm going to have to go through a couple layers of fabric to get to where I can feel that needle with my finger, make my little stitch, and come up. Go under and up. Under and up. Take that out. we'll go all the way to the end so that I can tie the knot again. All right, now I'm back. I can see I'm back to where my hem is actually still secured. So I'm going to do a couple more stitches, and I'm going to go to a little bit past maybe where that thread is dangling and secure that. So now I've got that secured, so I'm just going to catch, again, just the hem, not the pants itself, and do a couple of those loop ties. So here we go. I know it's very hard to see the loop from where you're sitting. It's also hard for me to see it, but I've got a loop in there that I'm going in with my needle and coming through. Going to do that one more time. Go in the loop and pull it through. And now I will go into the fabric, take my thread, wrap around the needle 3 times, and pull through. And I just like to do all of that to be really secure that the knot's not going to come out. And it's very rare that a hem that I have put in has come out. It will. It's, again, I'm not perfect. I'm human. I'm not a machine. But human knot tying often will be more secure than machine endings on a on a factory sewing machine. But here we go. So do you see how that black on black, even if my stitches are not perfect, you really can hardly see them, and it matches and does really well with what the machine has done from the manufacturer. So I hope that helps. I hope that you enjoy these tips that I give you. So come back next time and we'll have another great tip. Stay tuned for how to hem your pants with your sewing machine and do a blind stitch very similar to that, but with a regular home sewing machine. So I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time.